Welcome to Stirring It Up with Ron and Misty and special guest Stephanie today. So, Stephanie, you're going to talk to us and help us learn how to do sourdough bread, right?
Yes, we're going to make a focaccia today.
Okay, cool. So, Misty is all about some sourdough. She has been bringing me sourdough off and on for the past like 3 or 4 months, and different flavors and different types. And I researched a little bit last night. I was been trying to do it over the past week, but I got to sit down and actually look at it last night. And I think focaccia was the one that popped up on my Google search whenever I looked at it.
Okay.
So, what do we need to know about starting sourdough? What's the best way to do it? Because there's a lot of information out there.
There is, and there's conflicting information as well, which makes it super complicated. So getting starter, you can either get it from a friend, you can buy it in various places. People will dry it and send it to you that way.
Now, whenever you say dry it, what does that mean?
They'll literally take starter that's active, and you can just dry it in the oven or whatever, and then it just kind of crumbles off. Yeah. And then you can grind it up, add water, and you'll have a bubbly starter instantly versus having to grow your own, which is still not super complicated, even though I've never done it. Still not complicated, though. There's so many resources out there that tell you how to grow your own starter, usually using rye flour or a wheat flour and water, and you just leave it on your counter in a jar.
Okay.
You will have discard from that. And you will feed it and water it every day like a nice little plant.
Okay.
And eventually it will bubble, because what it'll do is it will capture bacteria from the air.
Okay.
And the strongest bacteria will live, and that will be what leavens your bread.
Okay, I like that. So now you said you've never actually started a starter.
I have not.
So how did you get into this then?
I received my starter from my good friend Shane Hildebrand. He came up to me after church on a Sunday evening, Wednesday night, something like that. And he asked me if I wanted some sourdough starter. It was like right before Christmas. We had just moved here to Statesville, and why not? Sure. And I took the jar from him, and I asked him, I said, well, what do I do with it now? And he was like, well, you bake with it. And I said, okay. And in my mind, I was like, that still makes no sense to me. Is this like friendship bread that we feed flour and sugar and squish it around in a bag? I don't know what this is. But I was like, you know what? I'll look on Pinterest and I'll look online and I'll figure this out.
Now, see, I've only ever done friendship bread.
Yes.
So whenever Misty was talking about sourdough bread, I was like, it sounds like a starter for friendship bread a little bit, but it also, I've heard that it's complicated, so I'm always scared. I'm scared to try new things, but I like trying new things. Yeah. So
I think the key to really learning sourdough is not being afraid of mistakes and being willing to experiment. It's really like a very long process science experiment where you're going to try different things, because some things will work and some things won't.
Because this isn't a quick, you make it today and it's ready tomorrow thing, right?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Not if you're.
It can be.
Not if you're starting it from scratch. Like, not if you don't have a sourdough that's already active. But if you already have a starter that's active, then yes, it can be a make to start one day and you have bread the next day. But that's the beauty of it for my life, is that it's very slow. It's not something that, like when you use a commercial yeast from the store, within an hour you have to tend that thing because it's already risen. You can manipulate sourdough starter or your bread that you've made with sourdough with heat and cold.
Okay.
Because heat will speed up the process. So if I wanted bread, for dinner, and I mix it together at 8 o'clock in the morning, I keep it warm in my oven, and within 4 or 5 hours, it's ready for me to shape, and then within another 30 minutes, it's ready to bake. So, I mean, it's still longer than like the commercial yeast, but still doable. Slowing it down would be cold. You would stick it in your refrigerator and slow down your processes.
You can actually control how fast or how slow it actually rises and does things that it needs to to an extent.
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I tried to speed this focaccia that we're doing today up for demonstration purposes. But would you like to go ahead and start the recipe?
Sure.
All right. So I pre-measured some stuff to make this a lot more simple. So what I have here is 4 cups of flour. I'm kind of a flour nerd and picky about my flour.
Now, talking about flour, what I was seeing online, and you can dispel whatever you need to dispel because I'm new to all of this. Does it need to be a certain type of flour?
No.
Okay, because I was seeing that it needed to be like a wheat flour or this flour or that flour.
So even if you're starting your starter from scratch, like you're starting it on your counter with just water and flour, and you're gonna make your starter, you can use any type of flour, but wheat or rye is
better.
going to work better.
Okay. So one works better than the other, but it's not necessarily that you have to use that for it to get to work.
Exactly. I think 2020 dispelled a lot of myths about not being able to use bleached flour or or whatever. Oh, it's going to kill your starter. It's really not. It survived. It's just the strong's going to survive. Now, when I say I'm a flour geek and nerd, I don't like enriched flour.
Okay.
It's trash ingredients they're putting in there. You're just getting
filler.
Yeah. They're saying they're making you healthier, but our society's proven that's not true.
Yeah.
So I do choose my flours in a picky way. I really like Trader Joe's organic all-purpose flour.
Okay.
In the way of bread flour, which is usually what you'd like to feed your starter, I do use King Arthur's. It's got some enzymes in it. I really would like for King Arthur to stop putting the enzymes in there, but it's at least not enriched. This, because I haven't had a chance to go to Trader Joe's, is just King Arthur's all-purpose flour, which doesn't have the enzymes, and is not enriched, and it's not bleached. I do have a grinder at home. I will grind my own flour when I have time.
Do we need to sift the flour?
Definitely not.
Okay.
No, super not.
All right.
Super not hard.
This is a lot easier from the sound of it already than I thought it was.
This is not that difficult.
Okay.
So, for those at home, I'm using sourdough. This is going to take a long time to rise. This exact same process would be fine with using a commercial yeast. So using a yeast from the store, you would still get your flour, and then you would get your warm water, and you would dissolve your yeast in your warm water, and then you would add all these ingredients to the flour. It would just rise faster. Okay. Also, sourdough is supposed to be more healthy, beneficial to your body because it's not got the bread itself after it's done doesn't cause a glycemic index spike, and the nerdy part is what it actually does is it pre-digests your flour.
Okay.
So if I had brought some wheat berries, I could show you they're nice little oats. We feed oats to horses and cows who have molars that grind and can crush everything up. Because we don't have that, we grind it, right, to make it palatable and edible. The bacteria in it pre-digests it. And that's why people say it doesn't make their stomach hurt. It feels better when they eat, sourdough bread, because.
And whenever you said you don't have the glycemic spikes, for those at home, that's to do with the sugars and the diabetic and stuff like that. That it can be better for somebody that's diabetic.
Correct.
Okay.
Scientifically, they say that's the case. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so, I'm just going with what other people have researched and said. So we have our flour. Now we're going to put our leavening agent in there, which will be 1 cup of a ripe sourdough starter. What that means is you want it nice and bubbly and happy and not runny and sad. And
that kind of looks, I know this is probably not appetizing, but that kind of looks like what is the stuff that kids
Play-Doh?
make? Well, Play-Doh or the slime.
Yeah.
Slime stuff.
Yeah, it's usually sticky and gooey like this. It's got bubbles in it when it's nice and happy and ready to be used. And
so this is a good consistency of what you want.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And there are ways to manipulate that as well, to keep it happy and ripe for a longer period of time than like the couple of hours you would have on your counter. But I'm having a sourdough class on May 7th at Fort Dobbs Hardware.
Fort Dobbs is one of our big sponsors here at the radio station.
Yes, and you can go to their website or you can go in the store to get information about it.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is we're going to discuss, the basics of using sourdough, using your starter, baking bread with it, how to feed it and care for it or whatever.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about discard, which people seem to be super confused about.
Whenever you first said discard, my first thought was if you're discarding something, you're throwing it away.
Yeah, and that's
And
not
you
actually...
explained that's not true.
Yeah, you don't have to throw the discard away. And I'll explain all of that on February 7th when we're at Fort Dobbs Hardware. It's much less complicated. It's just much less complicated. People who don't understand...
So is it February or May we're having that class?
February.
Okay.
February 7th.
Okay.
From 10 to 12.
Okay.
So sourdough has been made a lot more complicated than it actually is for, a couple of reasons. One of them, you can use conflicting recipes or conflicting methods and still yield a loaf.
Okay.
A couple years ago, I was listening to the Modernist Breadcrumbs podcast, Nathan Myhrvold and Francesca Magoya, who are the authors of the Modernist Kitchen Cookbooks.
Okay.
They did this podcast about bread, and in the Modernist Kitchen, they were like, well, we're going to have all these people send in recipes for sourdough. We're going to do them and debunk this stuff. They would bake conflicting recipes and still yield a loaf.
Hey, that's cool though.
It is cool, but it also
tells you-
means that people have to experiment for themselves and see what
Right.
works with their schedule, with their lifestyle, and knowledge that, if you get a few things correct, like ripe starter and a long enough proof time, you're usually going to yield a loaf.
Okay.
As long
And
as
you
don't
said it's pretty
overproof.
hard to kill a starter.
People think it's easier than it actually is. Unless you have mold on top, and even at that, you could scrape that away and use what's underneath. It's going to be hard pressed to kill. Just don't leave it on your counter indefinitely without feeding it. It's probably not a good idea. I keep mine in my refrigerator because I don't want to feed it all the time. I mean, I use it every single week, but I still keep it in my refrigerator.
So you bake sourdough every week? Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that.
My family, when I started doing sourdough, when Shane gave it to me, I didn't know anything about it. I just about killed it, if it's possible. But, as I started making bread and, seeing the benefit for my family, not buying stuff that had questionable ingredients in it from the store.
Right.
I was like, you know what, this is easy enough for me to incorporate into my life. So, yes, I bake all of our bread. We usually have challah or a boule. Sometimes there's no bread in the house of bread, and everybody's looking at me like, what are you going to do, Mom?
We need bread.
So, yes. So,
Now, do you put different things in it as far as like, I know some that we've had has had like pumpkin and it's had spices and stuff like that.
I mean, if we want a specialty bread, I would, but usually it's just
just
like
use
what
regular.
we need to feed our family. But
Okay.
then I also, it's not just, boules and challah and, it's English muffins and pancakes
Oh,
and
you can do all
muffins
kinds of stuff.
and biscuits. We're going to make biscuits at Fort Dobbs on February 7th. So, yeah, it's a lot of different things that you can do with the exact same thing because it's just a leavening agent.
Okay.
So, we have 4 cups of flour. We have 1 cup of active starter. We have 1.5 cups of warm water. It's warm-ish now, but it's fine. It's going to be
It's cold.
fine.
It's cold outside.
Yes. We're going to put 1/4 cup of olive oil in it. Now, when I'm making focaccia, okay, I'm not always super bougie about my olive oil, but when I'm making focaccia, I try to use a better quality, and this is not the best, but this is the best I'm going to buy right now. Olive oil, because you will taste it in the focaccia.
Okay.
Like if you've got an olive oil that's like got a, not a great back taste. I mean, I suppose
You're
people
gonna-
who
you're gonna
don't
have
have a
that-
great palate wouldn't care, but I mean, if you actually, know what things are supposed to taste like, it's not going to taste as good. So 1/4 cup of olive oil.
And I was going to say, if it gets on the table, it's fine. We can clean it. We cleaned it before you came in. It's fine.
Well, we're going to reuse that measuring cup in a minute, so we're going to let's see it right there. I have
That
1
almost looks like honey.
tablespoon of honey. Mhm.
Okay.
1 tablespoon of honey in here. Bringing 100 measuring devices did not seem like a great idea to me. So we just pre-measured this stuff.
Smart thinking.
And then 2 teaspoons of salt. And usually when I'm at home, I would mix this in my KitchenAid because, you know, we're just going to do things easy and fast. But this is called a dough whisk or a Danish whisk. And it's pretty easy to do the job as well, because if you don't have a mixer, a machine, you still want to make or have the opportunity to make the same stuff.
Right.
We don't have to have tons of expensive equipment. I mean, this is like $10. They have them at Fort Dobbs Hardware. They also have like starter, what do you call it? It's packages of dried starter with instructions on how to start your own.
So what we were talking about earlier with the dried out stuff.
When I teach my class, I always have starter on hand to give to whomever would like some. And usually Fort Dobbs has a jar for people to purchase for me to put that starter in for them. And so, you know, this focaccia is super easy. You're just going to mix it together until it forms a nice ball. And it's going to be a little bit more wet. If you're accustomed to making bread, it's going to be a little bit more wet than what you would.
So it's not going to be quite as doughy and as dry as
it's not a bread that you're going to want to knead. It's because you have, you know, a cup and a half of water and a quarter cup of olive oil. It's just a little bit more
I like
sticky.
how well that seems to mix it too.
Yeah, and it doesn't get all tangled in it. It's quite convenient. I usually use this when I teach a class somewhere because, you know, not everybody has machines.
Right.
They're expensive.
Now, are you from this area? From Statesville area?
Well, I've
originally?
lived the majority of my life in Rowan County, but we've been in Statesville since 2017.
All
I've been in Statesville since 2017. Originally, I'm from the Outer Banks. My dad built custom sport fishing boats.
Ooh, fun.
So, yeah. He retired a couple years ago. We're not even going to bother. Yeah, no, there we go. It actually fit. I have some more press and seal. But, or clean wrap. So, what you would do, once you mix it together, regardless of whether you're using sourdough or, you know, yeast from the store, is you're going to let this sit and rise.
Okay.
And so that's going to take, I mean, it depends. For sourdough, it's going to depend on the temperature. Even with, like, the store-bought yeast, you're still going to have warm temperatures.
Right.
I tell you that.
I know I saw something that said 75 degrees was, like, optimal temperature. Is that what you want to
I think my oven has a bread proofing setting, and so it's usually between 85 and 100 degrees, actually.
Okay.
But 75 would be good on your counter.
Okay.
Sunlight. If during the summer, and sourdough changes from winter to summer, but if you have, you know, sun coming in a window and you set it there in the sun, it's gonna
rise
help it rise a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're just looking at rise time on this, which should turn into something that looks like this. And in all technicality, I mixed this together this morning. I would usually let it rise a little bit longer than this. But I was baking other things in my oven, and so I didn't have my oven to be able to proof it and make it come faster. So usually it would be all the way to the top. This is still risen some though, so it's not a complete fail, and it will still make bread. Even though it hasn't bulk proofed as much as I would usually let it bulk proof, this, once I let it rise on the cookie sheet, will still make bread the same way.
So you see, and I'm going to show this,
yeah.
You see some air bubbles there.
Yeah.
So that's not all of what you want, is what you're saying. You would rather have more.
Yeah, you would want more up the sides and stuff.
Okay.
But again, because it's risen and I can tell that it's proofed some, it has risen some. I'm still going to bake this for dinner tonight. And it'll still work, because what we're going to do is it's going to rise a second time. So you have your bulk proof, your first rise, after you mix the dough together. And this is pretty universal for, you know, store-bought yeast or sourdough. The timing's different, but you always have your bulk proof. And then you have your second rise, which is usually after shaping. And so what we're going to do is we are going to dump this out on this parchment paper I just cut.
And remember to use parchment paper, not wax paper.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not a good idea.
I have made that mistake one time. and only one time. Once you do something like that, you learn very quickly that that's not what you're supposed to do.
So, this is actually probably a good texture for it.
Almost like it's risen a little bit more than you thought it had risen.
Yeah. It's going to be good. It's not underproofed.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So what you would do is you're going to take your bread and you're going to spread it out on your parchment paper. Make sure they can see over there. There we go. And
I think this is the first episode that we've done that I've not been digging into something and like kneading and. Well, no, we did. We did do another episode that we did some pinwheels, and that we didn't have to do much with that with hands.
Well, that's nice. All right, so I've got it pretty much pressed, and I missed an entire step, you guys.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's all right. How are we gonna fix it though? Oh, hold on. Oh no, it'll be perfect. Hold on. So we're gonna fix my mistake because there is one more thing you have to do before you press it down, and that is put a quarter
That's
cup
why
of
you said you
olive
needed
oil.
that cup earlier.
Yes. So thankfully, I think I'll be able to pull that right off of that parchment paper, and it'll be fine.
That's
so,
the good thing about parchment paper; it kind of releases pretty easy.
Regardless of how many times you've made things, you know.
Always
Everybody
makes
makes
mistakes.
mistakes, but you know what? It's okay because everything's fixable. The world's not going to end.
Exactly.
So
you said a quarter cup of
olive
oil?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's a lot of olive oil in focaccia, you guys. Across the board. So you're going to want to spread it out a little bit. It's not fussy because once you put the dough on there, it's going to spread pretty nicely anyway. We are going to make it come off of this just like this. And it'll be fine because parchment paper is pretty great about not making things stick. That's why we use it. And I'll give you the dirty parchment paper. All right, there we go. Now you can press it around. I'm like, why is it not moving super well? Well, that's why, because it doesn't have the olive oil underneath of it.
It didn't have the lubricant to help it move.
Right. Or make it harder to get to the edges, as it usually is. All right, so I've managed to keep my hands out of it up to this point, but that's not possible anymore. Because you're going to want to go on ahead and put a little bit of olive oil on top for two reasons. First of all, I'm going to cover it in the cling wrap, and if you don't olive oil the cling wrap or the bread on top, then it's going to stick, and then when you take it off, it's going to pull and pop your bubbles.
Oh.
Bubbles make soft bread.
You need bubbles.
We want bubbles. So this is going to rise a second time, and what you're going to want to do is before you put that cling wrap on, is you're going to want to do the finger presses in it. Now, you're going to do this one more time right before you put it in the oven, but you're not going to do this many. So focaccia is known for the little dimply bread.
I'm going to hold this up just a little bit. I'm not going to tilt it
go
too much
ahead.
because I don't want all the olive oil going everywhere. And I don't want the bread to fall everywhere. So this is kind of what you want it to look like.
Yes.
And I can zoom in a little bit on
yeah.
that.
So, you're going to dimple it like this and then cover it with plastic wrap until it's not going to double. But what it's going to do is just gently rise. You will see it puff. You will see that it's like mounding a little bit. And a lot of the little dimples I've just made will be covered up.
So they will grow in with the rising.
They will, yes.
Okay.
And then when that's done, you will take the plastic wrap off. After it's risen that second time, you'll take the plastic wrap off and you will put whatever you want to put on top. So people like to do beautiful focaccia with, like, you know, vegetables making flowers on their focaccia. And I am so much more simple than that because we're just going to eat it. We use rosemary, which I grind with my mortar and pestle. I use a good salt because the salt really makes it. Put the flaky salt on top, and don't worry, a heavy hand is it's fine.
Kind of
It's
like
gonna be
a
great.
pretzel. You want salt.
You want the salt on top of the focaccia, and then garlic powder, and that's usually what I do. I just grind that together and I shake that on top, pop it in the oven at 425 for 20 to 25 minutes, and we come out with
Something that looks and smells amazing.
something like this. So this is the exact same thing I just did. It is the ground rosemary, the garlic powder, and the salt. And so we'll just cut this up for, to go with pasta for dinner, or a couple of times now I have made a sandwich from it that's really delicious.
Ooh.
It's turkey and provolone, and you use sun-dried tomato pesto and mayonnaise. You use like a mixed greens on there, and it is really,
That sounds
really good.
amazing.
Very good for sandwiches. But yeah, that's the very long of how to make
It's
focaccia, which is very simple. It's not a hard bread to make and to accomplish, and it's always super yummy.
and it looks and smells great. So this is going to be a tasty treat. So can we go ahead and cut it and try some?
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, as I started making breads, I made other things. I make cinnamon rolls for the Land Cruiser coffee truck,
okay.
Alicia Stroud's truck that runs around Statesville.
Yeah.
There you go. And nice and soft
And
on the inside.
And airy.
Yep.
You can see the bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah.
the bubbles made the bread.
Yep. And this
So-
is literally just flour, water, salt, honey, and oil.
I
That's
bet
all
this
that's
would
in
be
it.
really good if you wanted to dip it in something, kind of like what they do with like the Italian restaurants.
Yes.
The oil and vinegar
Yes.
based stuff. So try and see it. That's really good.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. My family loves it.
Well,
I've made it a couple of times for church functions, especially the sandwich, because I don't know, it transports really easily and it's delicious.
I bet that would be good as a sandwich bread.
And
And
you
it's-
wouldn't think it because it's so thin and it's not sandwich shape or whatever.
Right.
But it really is a great sandwich. You just cut it thin and you just have the thin piece on top and bottom.
Oh no, I was thinking about using like
Oh, you're going to cut
one
it in half.
piece and one piece,
Yeah, well,
like a bun more so than bread.
you could do that. You could do that too, I suppose.
So, but that's just me being me. So, so thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. I
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely. My pleasure.
it. And remind us again. So the class that you're doing is in February.
Yes, February 7th.
7th. At what time?
10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
Hardware.
And Fort Dobbs Hardware is on Highway 21 here in Statesville. The address right now is blanking on me. I know the address. I drive by it every day almost on my way home. So
Turnersburg
But-
Highway. I have no idea what the numbers are.
if you just Google Fort Dobbs Hardware, you'll find it. It's the only one in Statesville. So
They will have information about the class on their Facebook page too.
okay. And do you do anything outside of that as far as the sourdough stuff? Like, do you teach classes other than that, or is that the only kind of classes you teach?
For now, that's all I teach. My
Okay.
husband and I are we have a prison ministry
Okay.
that we do. That's what my husband does full time.
Cool.
It's called Samaria Prison Ministry, and so occasionally I'll go into the institution and teach Bible classes for the ladies.
Right.
But, yeah, this
That's
this
cool.
is this is what I do publicly mostly.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for joining us. And again, if you'd like to sponsor any of our shows like this, let us know. Give us a call, 704-872-0550. I've got this piece of bread in my mouth and it's kind of making me sound like I'm mumbling a little bit, but